Greetings, people of the interwebs. It is Dan here, and holy fucking shitballs. What a goddamned edition of Monday Night Raw that we just got off the back of. Oh my god. Honestly, it's going to be shows like this in the future that I'm going to have a very difficult time reviewing. It's going to be very bittersweet, because for me, tonight's show is a bittersweet show to have to review, because on one hand, it was a fucking phenomenal show. But on the other hand, things like, it's the Raw after Wrestlemania, so they had to pull out all the stops, and, they're not going to be able to top this Raw for probably the rest of the year. It's normally like this with these, Raw after WrestleManias, and like last year, the Raw after the draft, which, in my opinion, this was the best edition of Monday Night Raw since that first Raw after the brand split. I will say that. That was probably the best edition of Raw that we just saw. The best one since the brand split. So I thought it was great. I thought that this was an absolutely incredible edition of Monday Night Raw. And it opened with potentially one of my favorite segments of all time. I have to hand it to WWE. They booked this shit perfect. Holy fuck. You played to Roman's strengths, and he looked fan-fucking-tastic. This shows that there is money in Roman Reigns. This shows that Roman Reigns has potential in this company. That segment tonight, with the heel-like response that he was getting, and with the announcers actually formally, acknowledging that the dude is getting booed, that showed that Roman has serious potential. And I've been saying it, you have to turn the guy heel in order to discover his full potential. All the greats did it. Fucking Austin had a great heel run. The Rock had a great heel run. The Ultimate Warrior wasn't really a heel just because that would have been weird. Sting tried to have a heel run. It didn't work, but regardless, they tried it. Even fucking Hogan had a heel run. Hulk Hogan, the most over babyface in the history of professional wrestling, had probably one of the most successful heel runs of all time, producing the most popular piece of merchandise in professional wrestling history. So I feel like they're finally pulling the trigger on a Roman Reigns heel turn. Should it have taken The Undertaker retiring at the hands of Roman Reigns? Of course not. But am I happy that we are getting it now? Fuck yes. I am so happy that we're getting it now, because I actually enjoyed Roman Reigns tonight. I enjoyed the fuck out of Roman Reigns tonight. You played to his strengths. He didn't say too much on the microphone. He stood out there and took the heat like a goddamn trooper, and then he dropped the mic and walked out like a goddamn prick. He looked cocky. He looked arrogant. It was perfect. It was perfect. See, I can compliment Roman Reigns. I know that's a shock to a lot of people who have been watching this channel for a bit. I know it's a shock that I can compliment Roman Reigns, but I will hand it to him and hand it to WWE. WWE made the perfect booking decision here, and also Roman handled the segment to a T. This man is money. Officially, I will say it now. This man is money. If you strike with this heel run while the iron is still hot, he will make you major, major bank. Once Roman turns heel, do you realize how many people are going to be buying tickets just to see him get his ass kicked? Seriously. His merchandise sales are going to get better. I heard that last year, they were saying, Roman Reigns was like the number 3 top merchandise seller in 2016 or whatever. But no, I actually heard in real life, he barely made the top 20 in terms of merchandise sales. So, now with him appearing to officially be turning heel, it's looking like he may actually get up to that top 5 merchandise sales threshold. Let me give you an idea of just how obvious this is to some people. My sister, who knows jack shit about professional wrestling, as in like the creative side of it and everything. The one thing that she loves about wrestling is she loves Bayley. She'll watch a Bayley match any day of the week. She will watch a Bayley match anytime I put one in front of her. No question. She loves Bayley to death, but she doesn't really like, the rest of it all that much. And even she, a person who knows nothing about professional wrestling, said, this guy doesn't look like a good guy. This guy is a bad guy. And I was like, I just asked her, I was like, oh really? Well, why do you think that? And she's like, he just looks like one. It's as simple as that. My sister, who knows nothing about professional wrestling, and that's not a knock to her. To be fair, I probably know too much about professional wrestling. But my sister, who knows absolutely nothing about professional wrestling, was even saying Roman looks like a bad guy. He has to be a bad guy. And, even she knew that shit had hit the fan whenever I told her that Roman had retired The Undertaker. I showed her a picture of Roman Reigns, and she was like, wait, that's the guy that they had retire The Undertaker? And I was like, yeah. And she said, you mean like the most hated guy in wrestling right now, right? And I was like, holy shit, you know more than I thought. And she was even saying, oh my God, this has to be the worst thing ever. And I said, well, I hope not. And it turns out tonight they went ahead and appeared to pull the trigger. And it started with the announcers acknowledging that Roman is getting booed. I know that may not seem like too big of a deal, but you have to understand. This man was causing segments to be altered from one week to the next. There were fan reactions that would be completely taken out, fan signs that would be altered due to Roman Reigns being there, and just because they had to protect Roman Reigns and maintain Roman Reigns as the company's top babyface. And even the announcers, even the heel announcers, would show support for Roman Reigns as a babyface. They were doing way too much. And now the fact that the announcers are no longer saying, oh, well, look at Roman, the way he's fighting and trying to talk about him like he's this big upstanding guy, finally saying, look at Roman getting booed. That's a huge step, in my opinion. So the fact that the announcers acknowledge the fact that Roman is getting booed is probably one of the biggest steps in this heel turn that I can think of. So anyway, kicking off Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania with the best segment, again, as I said, potentially of the year. We did not see Undertaker tonight. In my opinion, I saw Rusty, formerly known as Falcon. He's no longer on YouTube anymore, but he's still a good friend of mine. I saw him post to Twitter saying something that I actually very much agree with, saying that Undertaker should not show up on WWE television until the Hall of Fame next year. You have him be announced for the Hall of Fame next year, but you do not have Undertaker show up, period, on WWE television until the Hall of Fame ceremony. And then you have Mark Calloway come out and just be showered with the biggest mass cheering that anyone has ever seen being inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's what I think they should do with The Undertaker. But anyway, on with the opening segment. This was not about Undertaker. This was all about Roman Reigns, and I will say that I loved it. I'm going to say, this is so unnatural of me, but I'm going to say, I loved this Roman Reigns segment. Am I dreaming? Am I just freaking pinch myself? Am I dreaming? Like, I loved a Roman Reigns segment. What is happening? But they opened the show with a recap of The Undertaker's match at WrestleMania. Crowd was chanting Undertaker as the camera came onto the crowd, and deserved respect from the crowd. This was, whenever I tell you that this was the most unison chant that I have ever heard, because normally whenever you hear the fans do chants, it's like broken and stagnant, and you'll hear like one group of fans start immediately after another and blah, blah, blah. But every single fan in the Amway Center tonight in Orlando, Florida, was chanting Undertaker in unison, completely. And then, a couple minutes into it, they were chanting Undertaker for like 3 minutes to start the show. Then Roman Sucks chants started to get mixed in and eventually, which was beautiful. And eventually the Roman Sucks chants got a little bit louder than the Undertaker chants. Then Roman comes out to the most boos I have ever seen or heard. Like, whenever I tell you that this man is the most hated man in all of wrestling, that is no exaggeration. The boos only got louder and louder, and the commentators were actually acknowledging that Roman was getting booed. This was very interesting to me, that the commentators, fuck's sake, were actually acknowledging that Roman is getting booed. That was crazy. And the boos continued. The boos were continuous. You know, normally, like, especially with Roman, they'll boo and then the boos will, like, fade by the time his entrance is done. No. They continued, and continued, and continued, and continued, and then we got delete chants, and then we got boos, 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 and more boos, and they continued, and they continued. And then I believe they started to chant, "Fuck you, Roman." Genuinely. I feel like they started to chant, "Fuck you, Roman." And then this eventually just became a funny spot for me. This was probably one of the funniest things of the night to me. Roman kept putting the microphone up to his mouth. And every time that he would bring the microphone up to his mouth to try to talk, the fans would just boo the shit out of him. I thought that was so funny. You may not think it's all that funny. I think it's hilarious that they will just boo the living daylights out of Roman Reigns. I love this, man. I loved this segment. It was so good. But anyway, as he put the mic up to his mouth to talk, they just booed some more. Then they started "You suck" chants. Then they started asshole chants, which I haven't heard in a while. Haven't heard the asshole chant in a bit, but they started asshole chants. Then he's about to talk again. Then they boo some more. Start Roman sucks chants again. They keep booing him every time that he tries to talk. He probably, throughout this promo, before he actually got a chance to open his mouth, he probably tried to talk about 5 different times. And they were booing him every single time like crazy, not allowing him to get a word in. Then there were more delete chants, I should say. More boos as he tried to talk again. Boos again. He was just toying with them eventually. He eventually got to the point where he was just intentionally raising the mic up to his mouth for them to just boo him and him to put the mic back down again. And he had this crowd eating out of the palm of his hand. That is magical. Like, I've never seen Roman Reigns look so natural. He looked like a goddamn natural. He looked like he belonged there. He looked like he legit belonged in the spot that he had. It wasn't like when he was getting pushed as a babyface and he was getting booed out of the building and he had that look on his face of just disgust, like, just, why am I getting booed? Now he just looks natural. And there was a point where he took the mic up to his face and the crowd started to boo and he just smiled. He smiled. And, I can tell a heelish, dick-like smirk when I see one. That was a smile of genuine, relief and joy. Just like, I have something here. And all WWE has to do is take it and run with it. Because they could take this thing so far, you have no idea. But anyway, he was just toying with them again. Then they chanted, "Go away," loudly. These were the loudest chants yet. Go away. Then he holds the mic up for a second. He holds it there. He just holds it there. And then take a while. This was the best promo that I've heard from Roman Reigns. And guess how many words it was? 5. 5 simple words. Not 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, as the crowd was chanting tonight. Sorry, I bumped my microphone. But not 10, 10, 10, as the crowd was chanting tonight. It was 5 words. This is my yard now. 5 words. And the intensity that he had in his voice, and just the vitriol and the vigor that he had in his voice was just goddamn believable from Roman. He said, "This is my yard now," and then holy shit, the boos. Dude, I don't even think the boos that he got at AT&T Stadium in front of like 95,000 people could have matched that. Dude, like, what the hell? This was an eruption of boos. 15,000 people booing beat what 95,000 people did at WrestleMania last year. Oh my God. Like, the boos. What the hell, man? These boos were crazy. Genuinely, I could have watched him just stand out there and take this heat and continue to just take it and continue to trash talk for the whole show. When I say that, that is not an exaggeration. I could watch that. I could have watched Roman stand there in the ring, taking the heat like a goddamn trooper, and just trashing the fans for the entire show. This was beautiful. This was incredible. This was poetry in goddamn motion. Seriously. It's what Roman does best. It is what Roman does best. You know, when he was in NXT for all of the minute and a half that he was in NXT, he played a cocky Samoan prick who wore suits, shades, and snazzy dress shoes. You know what I mean? He was a cocky Samoan prick. And I feel like they need to do that with him now. They need to turn him into that same cocky Samoan prick. Change up his ring attire, maybe give him a different theme. I feel like you could go for a full rebrand on Roman Reigns at this rate. And he might actually get over. Although, I don't know, maybe keeping the theme music might help, because that does contribute to the boos. So, maybe keeping the old Shield song might help him. But this was beautiful. This was incredible. Like I said, this may turn out to be the best segment of the year. Genuinely. It was incredible. I loved this segment. And it involved Roman Reigns. And I loved it. It was my favorite segment of the show. Absolutely unbelievable. Genuine, props to WWE for that. That was incredible. It was unbelievable. It was like the big payoff that you wait for as a wrestling fan. Absolutely insane. Then we had a tag title rematch from last night, which I could not wait for. I couldn't wait to see the Hardys. They did, in fact, come out in their Team Extreme, to their Team Extreme music again. I mean, what can you do? I still love the Hardys, but you can tell that Matt so wants to break out the broken shit. He really does. He wants to just break that out full force, and you can tell. And Jeff wants to do it too, because the crowd was chanting delete, and Jeff was doing the same thing that he was doing last night at Mania, just the little thing with his wrist, not the full arm motion. I thought this was incredible. I didn't even take that many notes on this match. I just sat back and enjoyed it because it was incredible. The crowd wanted the broken shit so bad, but they don't seem to be completely going with it. I'm not sure why. This is odd because the lawsuit, like I said last night, has been settled with TNA. The entire broken gimmick belongs to Rebby, and I know that Matt isn't dumb enough to not be in this broken gimmick. I know Matt has said that he wants to spend the rest of his career broken. He wants to spend the rest of his career in this gimmick. And I know that he's not dumb enough to allow the WWE to not allow him to do the broken shit. So I know that it has to be broken out at some point, because if WWE wasn't going to allow Matt to use his broken gimmick, I feel like he would have just stayed in Ring of Honor and said, here, you take Jeff. Seriously. I mean, because Matt, as a singles guy, no longer needs Jeff. Jeff, if anything, needs Matt now, because Matt's so over. But he could have easily said, if WWE said to Matt, excuse me, if WWE said to Matt, we're not going to allow you to use the broken thing, then I'm sure that he would have just stayed in Ring of Honor. So I guarantee you the broken gimmick will come out in full force. They're going to be on Raw Talk tonight on the WWE Network after Raw. I may need to go and watch that to see what the deal is with the Broken Hardys and see what their broken gimmick is up to. So, yeah, I mean, what more can you say? I thought that, I think that the Hardys are still money no matter what. But I feel like with the broken gimmick, it'll just make them that much better. And if this is a case of WWE not wanting to swallow their pride because this gimmick is not their own creation, then fuck you. Fuck you. Stop being so petty and just accept the fact that someone else besides Vincent Kennedy McMahon came up with a gimmick that got over. Swallow your goddamn pride, take that bitter pill straight down the gullet, and just accept the fact that Matt and Rebby created a gimmick that's more over than anything on your roster. Just accept it and let them go with it. So I don't understand it. If this is a case of WWE just not wanting to swallow their pride and accept the fact that, Matt and Jeff are over with the broken stuff, then, as I said, it's pathetic. It's petty. Chants of Broken Matt and Brother Nero broke out. That shows you how much the crowd wants the broken shit. They were chanting for Broken Matt and Brother Nero tonight. Fuck that owl chants. I thought that was insane. I thought that was awesome. Rebby Hardy actually tweeted about it, saying, I like this Monday Night Raw already, with the hashtag fuck that owl. And fuck that owl chants were abundant. And then there were chants of obsolete throughout the crowd. Jeff was, I can't talk. Jeff kicked out of a boot of doom from Gallows and Anderson. I forgot to mention, Gallows and Anderson were in this match too. This was their rematch for the tag titles. But Jeff kicked out of a boot of doom from Gallows and Anderson. Then the Hardys retained off a twist of fate from Matt and a swanton off the top rope from Jeff. 1, 2, 3, the Hardy Boys retain the Monday Night Raw Tag Team Championships, and they should be coming into the broken thing at any moment now. Then we had Neville versus Mustafa Ali. Neville with a promo saying that he did what he said he would do at WrestleMania, and Aries just talked a bunch and said that evidently Aries talks better than he fights. Says that the people may not like his methods, but you cannot deny his results. Completely agreeable there, Neville. You can't deny what you've done since you've turned heel, man. Then Mustafa comes down. Mustafa Ali looked impressive. He had a lot of high spots early in the match. Honestly, I didn't really care about the match, to be fair. But one thing about Mustafa Ali, the dude's athletic as hell. The dude can pull out some goddamn moves. He pulled out a top rope Spanish fly. It looked like a top rope flatliner to me, but it was in fact a Spanish fly. I don't know why I thought it was a top rope flatliner. But it was a springboard Spanish fly. Then Mustafa hit a satellite DDT, goes for the reverse 450 splash, his finishing move, misses. Then Neville goes top rope looking for the red arrow. He hears the crowd cheering for it. The crowd's going, oh, waiting for the red arrow. So he gets down off the turnbuckle, locks in the rings of Saturn. The crowd is booing like crazy because they wanted to see the red arrow, and Neville knew that and read the crowd and took that and just shoved it right back in their face. But he locks in the rings of Saturn, an almost immediate tap out by Mustafa Ali. Neville wins post-WrestleMania. Then we go to the back and we see that Vince pulled up in a limo. Holy shit. You know that something's about to go down when you see Vince on television, period, anymore. A lot of people were wondering what was up, but then they cut to commercial, so that was unfortunate. Then we just had a string of in-ring / backstage segments. Before the Vince McMahon segment, I saw photos on Twitter, actually, of Balor arriving outside the airport terminal in Orlando and also arriving outside the venue in Orlando. Maybe this, this got me hyped for sure. And of course, if you know what happened in the main event, then you know what the deal was. Vince's music hit. He came out. Of course, it's always good to see him. Even though he can sometimes be a real pain in the ass, he's still, the man who created this company. He's the reason why we are all supporters of the company that we do support. So, you have to give him a good pop anytime he comes out. Got a massive pop, and the crowd was singing his music as usual. Roman sucks chants early, beautiful. Vince was like, oh, if that's really how you feel. Then Vince thanks the fans. He said, I normally don't do this, but I want to thank you for being the most passionate fans in the world. I want to thank you for, being some of the best fans that we've ever had, says that next week he basically announced that there would be a draft. He says, we need some shakeups around here, so next week we're going to have a roster shakeup. And I was like, oh, okay, so there's going to be a draft. So essentially, next week, we are in fact going to have a draft. I'm psyched. I am psyched out of my goddamn mind. I can't wait to see who goes where. I can't wait to see where they put the tag teams, where they put the women, with the Hardys joining recently and with, other teams potentially coming up. That could be crazy, man. Says that there will be a roster shake-up next week. Says that he's heartbroken over something that happened at WrestleMania and is sure that the fans are heartbroken too. We assumed that he was talking about The Undertaker, but no, he showed footage of Steph going through a table last night at WrestleMania. Says that she'll be out of commission for a bit. Then yes chants begin from the crowd because, of course, she's a heel. Then Vince says, dear God, she was almost broken in half, show some compassion. Said that they were being insensitive and bloodthirsty. Then there were delete chants. And then Vince said, well, there's nobody really here to run the ship on Raw. There's not a commissioner, at least for a while, and Mick Foley was fired as general manager. So it's time for us to select a new general manager. And he says, and you'll be happy to hear that this man was just inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. The crowd goes crazy. Then Teddy Long comes out. This was funny, man. I gotta admit, I laughed. I laughed whenever Teddy came out. Then Vince says that it isn't Teddy. Teddy got sad. Teddy got all sad. But he informs Teddy that it is not him who's the new general manager of Monday Night Raw. Teddy says, it ain't me. And then he goes, my bad. Holla, 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 player. And then he just goes to the back. I thought that was incredible. I love, what? I've really come to appreciate Teddy Long recently. Like going back and watching old episodes of SmackDown, it's incredible to see Teddy Long back in some sort of capacity. Vince says, your new GM is Kurt Angle. I'm so happy to see him back, man. This was the big rumor. Ever since Foley got fired, a lot of people were saying that Angle was going to come in as GM, and he's doing a goddamn good job about it, too, so far to this point. I was so happy. I thought that I was going to tear up, man, whenever he came out. And, Kurt Angle, oh, it's true. It's damn true. Kurt Angle loved the segment. Simple, short, sweet. He says that it's great to be back. He says, I've got one thing to say. It's great to be back on Monday Night Raw. And then his theme plays again. Oh, man. I love seeing Kurt Angle back on WWE TV. It is amazing. Kurt Angle was always that one guy, or one of the guys, that a lot of people were starting to think, we may not ever see this guy on WWE television again, But it turns out, Kurt Angle's the new general manager of Raw, so that was awesome. Then the New Day come out with ice cream as usual, wearing Legion of Doom rip-off shoulder pads in rainbow pastel colors. They said, what a night. They said that Mania was one for the ages, that it was an honor to host a record-setting show at the Citrus Bowl, but that they were disappointed that they did not get to do what they do best and get in the ring and lay a whooping on somebody. Said that they were issuing an open challenge to anybody in the locker room to come on out. And then you heard, say yeah! And of course, you freaking know what that means. It was the Revival. The Revival came out. They looked amazing. They started, tearing up the ice cream cart a bit. It was beautiful. Looked good early in the match. Great debut for them. Scott Dawson feigned an injury. He pulled like some kind of Anderson the Spider Silva shit. Like Anderson Spider Silva, like back in his prime, would feign injury and just kind of wobble a little bit and fool his opponents and then boom, kick him right upside the jaw. Well, Dawson feigned injury and then picked Xavier Woods up for the flapjack into the codebreaker from Dash Wilder for the shatter machine to Xavier. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations. The Revival are on Raw. And now, you gotta admit, the Raw Tag Team division is already looking better just 24 hours on from WrestleMania. Because now you have the Hardy Boys and the Revival added to Monday Night Raw. So now you've got the 4 teams that you had before, Sheamus and Cesaro, Enzo and Cass, New Day, Anderson and Gallows. and now you have the Hardy Boys and you have the Revival. And then you've got your jobber teams like Golden Truth and Shining Stars, blah, blah, blah. But, the tag team division already looks a lot better on Raw than it did before. So that was absolutely incredible. Then you had Angle backstage with Enzo and Cass, and I love Angle. I love Angle so much. I love the man. Enzo and Cass doing their normal promo. Angle was taking the promo a little too seriously, like Enzo saying, "My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and the bona fide stud, and you can't teach that." And Kurt Angle's like, "At least not any teacher I ever knew." And then he was like, "And this right here, this is Big Cass, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that." And he's like, "Well, no, you certainly can't." And he said, "Bada boom, realest guys in the room. How you doing?" And then Angle was like, "Oh, I'm fantastic. For me, it's been a great week. I got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and now I'm on Raw. It's been an incredible week. I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?" So he just took the promo a little too seriously, but I loved it. Kurt Angle, he's such a naturally funny guy that he just exudes your capability to laugh at him, seriously. They say that they're disappointed about last night, that they ask why they are not the tag team champions, why the Hardy Boys were allowed to enter in the match, why the Hardy Boys walked out the tag team champions, and then Enzo asks, "Now why is Goofy treated like a human and Pluto treated like a dog?" And I thought that was funny. Angle says that he has no idea what Enzo is talking about and books them in a number one contenders match versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Then they do their soft spot on the microphone, saying there's only one word to describe them, spell it out for you, SAWFT, soft. And then they leave, and Angle goes, "It's not how you spell soft." I thought he had this crowd laughing like crazy, man. I love Angle. I love him so much. Then, after they come back from the break, they say Bayley will be in 6-woman tag team action. Do you even have 6 women on the roster? Your entire women's division, as far as I'm concerned, wrestled at WrestleMania last night. 4 women. 4 women, that's all you got. But no, they came back from the break and did not disappoint. A lot of people were saying that Emma was going to come back to Raw after WrestleMania, and everybody was in fact right. Emma did make her big comeback tonight in this 6-woman tag match as part of the heel team with Nia Jax and Charlotte versus Dana, Bayley, and Sasha on the babyface team. Emma made her return as Evil Emma, which I thought was amazing. And Nia and Charlotte look good too, as usual. I was thinking that Sasha should turn heel in this match on Bayley. It's got to happen eventually, and I figured what better place to do it, but it turns out it didn't happen. I did find it interesting that Dana and Emma were on opposing teams. That they were, Dana was pretty much Emma's sidekick down in NXT, and now they're on opposing teams. Then Emma points to Bayley, saying that she wants Bayley. And Emma wanted this match to be all about her, clearly. And she did this brutal spot where she wrapped Bayley's back around the ring post and started ripping at her ponytail. She started pulling Bayley's ponytail. I thought that was beautiful. Beautiful bitch-like move by Bayley. Then, rather abruptly, Sasha makes Charlotte tap to the bank statement again. Emma shouldn't have been on the losing team, in my opinion. Charlotte was getting angry at her teammates for costing her the win. Then Nia destroys her and gets cheers afterwards. So I don't feel like Emma should have been on the losing team in her big return, but hey, what can you do? Then we had Angle backstage again, this time with Sami Zayn. Says Sami has all the tools that it takes to succeed in this business, says that Sami will do fine as a professional wrestler. Sami thanks Angle, says that he wants a similar friendship with Angle as he had with Foley. Then Jinder Mahal, Juicer HGH Hard Body Juicy Drop Pop Mahal, came back into the back and said that Sami has had his time, says that he shouldn't have lost the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Who gives a shit? It's a meaningless battle royal over a meaningless trophy. Why should you give a fuck? But Kurt says that with him in charge, differences will be settled in the ring, and books Sami and Jinder in a match later that night. Then here comes Bork Lesnar. Here comes Brock Lesnar, Bork Lesnar, Brack Lesnar, Brick Lesnar. whatever the hell you want to call him. Here comes Brock. I was thinking that this could be where Balor returned, because even though I don't necessarily like it all that much, there were reports that, they were going to start with Balor versus Lesnar immediately off the bat out of WrestleMania for the Universal title, that was the feud. But no, Balor didn't return here. Cole said that Lesnar's match with Goldberg was the most exciting 10 minutes he'd ever seen. Try 4.5, bro. The match lasted 4.5 minutes, not 10. Sorry. This is not the perfect 10 that we're talking about here. This was 4.5 minutes last night. It was still a good match for what it was, and they booked the match perfectly, but it did not go 10 minutes by any means. Lesnar makes that title look good, man. Lesnar does not need a title to make him look good. A title needs Brock Lesnar in order to look good. Genuinely. Like, any title that is on the waist of Brock Lesnar is automatically important. Like, I guarantee you, if he went out there and won the United States Championship, he'd probably if he went out there and won the United States Championship, that'd probably be the most valuable title in the company. Because any title belt around Brock Lesnar's waist is important, automatically. So, let's see. Lesnar makes the title look good. Lesnar doesn't need a title to make him look better. Heyman cut a fantastic promo as usual, says that there's a happily ever after to this Goldberg fairy tale, and that's that the fans won't be seeing Goldberg anymore. Thank you chants from the crowd, and then Finn chants from the crowd. They bring up, Paul brings up the different opponents that he could go, that Reigns could face, that Lesnar could face. I'm getting ahead of myself here. That Lesnar could face for his Universal title. He goes down the list of saying, what about Seth Rollins? What about Matt Hardy? That got a good pop. What about Jeff Hardy? I could see Jeff and Matt going up against Lesnar. Then Heyman brings up Roman Reigns. He says, what if we did the 2 in 23 and 2? And then the crowd immediately started to boo. Automatically, man. Brings up Reigns. Crowd boos the shit out of him. Jesus Christ. There were no chants coming like crazy from the crowd. We want Balor chants from the crowd, but he continued to talk about Roman. Heyman says that if Roman is the big dog, then Brock is animal cruelty. Says, why wait? And why not have a one-on-one match right now? He starts to call out Roman, but then Braun interrupts. Well, hello there, Strowman. Fancy seeing you here. I gotta admit, this is a match that I want to see. I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you and say, oh, no, I don't want to see this match. Dude, I want to fucking see it. Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, the Monster versus the Beast. Could you imagine the build-up for that? Holy shit. It'd be the most colossal main event that Raw could ever put on. Outside of Joe and Lesnar, it's probably Strowman and Lesnar at this rate. The crowd loved it for sure. Strowman says that Roman has Brock's attention, but when he's finished with Roman Reigns, maybe Braun will have his attention instead, because Brock sure as hell has Braun's attention. Let's see. Then Brock lays down the title, offering a match. I'm assuming he just lays the title down on the canvas and backs away. Braun chants from the crowd. The crowd's chanting, Braun, 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 Braun. He walks out. He backs down. Bullshit chants from the crowd, understandably so. Then we had Charlie Caruso in the back with Chris Jericho saying that at Payback in 4 weeks, he will get his rematch for the United States title, but that tonight he has a tag match. Then Chris Jericho brought up the fact that during the Cruiserweight title match, there was a beach ball flying around the arena. There was a beach ball flying around the arena that was more over than either of the Cruiserweights in the ring. I thought it was a little bit humiliating, but what can you do? And people were chanting Beach Ball Mania, Beach Ball Mania. And then, freaking Chris Jericho with a harken back to Hulk Hogan saying that Beach Ball Mania is running wild, brother. Huge pop, massive pop. Holy shit, he is so over, dude. You have no fucking idea how over Chris Jericho is. Let's see. Says that this is the perfect place to get his revenge and says that he will start with the tip of Kevin Owens' finger. Then he says, you know what happens to the tip of your finger? He pulls the list out. makes the crowd go insane, pulls the pen out, says to Kevin Owens' finger that it just made the list. Crowd goes crazy. Owens takes out Jericho. Then Joe joins in the assault, and then they both put Y2J through a table. This was the opening for the Finn Balor return, because they've been working on this match at the house shows, where, like Jericho, Zayn, and Balor have been working against Owens and Joe, and sometimes Triple H. Then Angle comes out of the trainer's room to tell Rollins that Jericho is in no condition to be his partner tonight, but that he will find another partner for him, that he promises. Come on now, you knew at this point that it was going to be Balor. Come on. Then we had a tag team number 1 contenders match, Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro. Enzo and Cass got no goddamn entrance, fan-fucking-tastic for your most over tag team WWE. Sheamus and Cesaro got their own chant made up by the crowd, and it was loud as fuck by the end of the match. I believe it was Sheamus, Cesaro, da-da-da-da-da, or something like that. I don't know. If you know exactly what was said, let me know down in the comments below. But I believe it was something along the lines of Sheamus and Cesaro, da-da-da-da-da, something like that. But they were going crazy. Crowd was having fun with Sheamus and Cesaro, doing 10 chants with the swing spot. Every time that he would spin them, they would go 10, 10, 10. I thought that was awesome. Cass got a big boot to break up the sharpshooter attempt after the swing spot. Started getting booed, oddly enough. Enzo and Cass started getting booed. That's how over Sheamus and Cesaro were tonight, man. Then Enzo and Cass were going for the rocket launcher. Then Sheamus brogue kicked Cass and then tossed Enzo into an uppercut from Cesaro. 1, 2, 3. Crowd goes bananas because Sheamus and Cesaro are your new number 1 contenders for the Raw Tag Team titles. I mean, do I still care? Probably not, but hey. Then we had Jinder Mahal versus Sami Zayn. What more do I need to say here? This was pathetic. Jinder got an early beatdown pre-match, and then Juicer Mahal was dominating early, which was complete bullshit. But then Sami Zayn came back with the exploder into the corner and the haluva kick for the 1, 2, 3. Sami Zayn beats Jinder Mahal. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Now get him into a title hunt, please, if you don't mind. Then we had the main event. It was Kevin Owens and Joe versus Rollins, and I was assuming Finn Balor. It seems odd that Balor would come back to help Rollins, but hey, stranger things have happened before. Rollins comes out as if absolutely nothing happened last night. That bugged the shit out of me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I didn't like it. It seemed dumb that Rollins just came out absolutely no-selling the 25 minutes worth of torture that his knee went through the night before. That was absolute bullshit. I felt that Balor should turn on Rollins, to be honest with you. It was, in fact, Balor. Here we go, man. The crowd was going insane. They were going crazy. He looks fantastic. He's over as ever. This was a fantastic choice to bring back. Balor was facing 2 of his biggest NXT rivals tonight. Not only was he in this major tag match, but he was facing 2 of his biggest NXT rivals in Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe. So it was 8:55 before the bell even rang, so you knew that whatever was going to happen quick. Was going to happen really quickly and swiftly. Rollins might have injured the knee again with a rolling senton over the top rope onto Kevin Owens and Joe late in the match. And then what more can I say? Balor won with a coup de grace. Nothing else weird. This wasn't too much of a match to write home about. It was Finn Balor's in-ring return, so yay. But this was weird. It was weird because, Balor won on a coup de grace, and that was it. And then at the end of the match, Rollins raised Balor's hand, which I honestly wanted Balor to kick the shit out of Rollins and join forces with Owens and Joe, and then have Triple H come down and hold all their hands high in the air and officially form this Evolution 2.0 thing. But, unfortunately, we did not get that, but it was still a very good version. It was still a very good edition of Monday Night Raw. Absolutely incredible. You had the Hardys, you had Roman Reigns getting booed out of the building for 10 minutes, which was incredible. I'll take that any day of the week. Roman Reigns is money now. I'm telling you, the money is going to start rolling in once you turn this guy heel. I am telling you right now, it is going to roll in once you turn this guy heel. So, that was it for your Monday Night Raw, man. I'm very tired. I got hardly any sleep WrestleMania night. I couldn't sleep. So, yeah, I'm very tired right now. I'm probably going to go take a massive sleeping pill and then go to bed. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been really fun. I loved recording this Raw review just a little bit more than I normally do enjoy recording these reviews and these videos. This one was especially enjoyable because I was actually looking forward to coming on here to record a review. I wasn't dreading it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like down below if you did in fact enjoy. Also, comment below. Let me know what your favorite moment from Raw tonight was. Mine was Roman getting booed out of the building, of course. But let me know what your favorite moment of the Raw after WrestleMania was down below. Like the video, favorite it as well. You know, comment on the video. You know, share the video if you can. Share, bro. You know, I've noticed that my subscription counts are lowering, and it's probably due to this YouTube age gate bullshit. So let's fight the goddamn power. Spread this fucker like wildfire. And share the videos out. Share the channel out if you've got anybody that you think would enjoy professional wrestling. Send them my way. It would be very much appreciated. So that is all from me. Like the video, comment, share the video as well. Thank you all so much for watching. That is all from me. You guys keep yourselves safe, and I will see you at a later date. Farewell.